Hello guys, so we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python, and in this video we are going to discuss about our next data structure which is called as tuples. Already in our previous video we have seen about list and we had written a lot of code. If you probably I go ahead and show you, we had written somewhere around 54 lines of code. We understood about list comprehension, we saw different methods, operations and many more things. Now, in this session, what all things we are going to discuss. So I have actually given you the brief outline of the video. First of all, we are going to understand about tuples, how to create tuples, accessing tuple elements, tuple operation, what is this immutable nature of tuples, and what are some of the tuples, common tuple methods that are used, how to pack and unpack tuples, nested tuples, and all these things we are going to see with a lot of practical example. Now, before I go ahead, first of all, let me just give you a small definition about tuples, right? So tuples are ordered collection of items that are immutable, right? So we'll understand about this particular meaning, which is called as immutable. If I talk about list, it is an ordered collection of items and the items can be of any type and they are mutable, right? But here it is something like immutable. They are similar to list, but their immutability makes them different. Now, first of all, we'll try to understand how to go ahead and create a tuple. So for creating a tuple, right, we have to just use this two empty brackets. So let me just go ahead and write it over here. So this is my empty tuple. Okay. And just by using this two brackets, right, I will be able to create it, right? And if I go ahead and display the print, let me first of all print this empty tuple, and then we will also go ahead and display our type of this particular empty tuple. Okay, so here you have this. If I execute this, you can see this is an empty tuple that is getting created. In list we use two square brackets. In this we are just using this rounded brackets, right? And then over here you can see that I'm getting an empty tuple which is completely empty. And if I go ahead and see the type of empty tuple, it is nothing but tuple itself, right? Now if I probably consider list, right? So list, if I also use like this, right? And if I go ahead and create an empty list, so I can also use this class directly and create an empty list. Okay, so this I missed in my previous video, so I'm just going to show it over here. And similarly, if I want to probably create a tuple, let's say this is my tuple, I can actually go ahead and use the same type of class and create an empty tuple. So both the ways I'm actually trying to show you so that you understand both these ways, right? So here you can see when I'm seeing the type of this will be an list and this will be tuple, right? So you can also use this method in order to create an empty list or tuples. Okay. Inside this also I can put up elements. It is up to us, right? Now let me go ahead and add some elements into this particular tuple. Okay. Now how do I add this particular elements inside this particular tuple, and how to do that, we'll be seeing a lot of methods. But here what I'm actually going to do, let me just go ahead and directly create a tuple. And if I go ahead and write tuple, okay, and here I can actually give a list like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, and now this list will basically get converted into a tuple. So if I go ahead and display these numbers here, you can see that I'm actually getting a tuple, right? So that basically means a list can be converted into a tuple, and even a tuple can be converted in a list, right? So if I go ahead and basically write like this 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So this is my tuple itself. And now if I go ahead and write list and I close this particular bracket, so here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get a list, right? List of elements. So both of the ways you can basically do the type conversion. Okay. Now, as I said, in tuples also you can, let's say I'm going to probably go ahead and create my mixed tuple. Here also you can use different data type elements. Let's say I want to use numerical, I want to probably use string, I want to go ahead and use a floating point number. I can also go ahead and use my Boolean variable, right? So now if I go ahead and print this, then also this will get created. The tuple will basically get created. Okay. Now this is a basic information about tuple, how you can actually create and how you can proceed. Okay. Now let me do one thing quickly. Let me go ahead and explain you about the next thing that we are going to discuss. It is nothing but accessing tuple elements. Okay. Now for accessing tuple elements, what all things we really need to do, that we will be discussing. Okay, like I want to pick up any elements as such. So right now, let me just go ahead and see, this is my numbers. Now here you can see that this is in the form of tuples. I have 6 elements. Let's say I go ahead and write numbers of 0. Okay, or let me just go ahead and write it in the line. Next line. So if I go ahead and write numbers of 0, so here I'll be able to see first element over here. This is my first 0th index. I'm able to see it over here. Then I have 2 over here. Also, you can see I'm able to pick up this elements, right? Similarly, if I go ahead and let's say that I'm just going to print this. Okay, I want to pick up the last element. Okay, last element. Either you can directly write the index, or what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to use -1, right? So I'll be able to get the last elements. Again, the indexing will be almost similar like a list. Even the slicing operation will be also similar like a list. Okay, so let's say I go ahead and write numbers, and here I'll cite 0:4. That basically means I'll be able to get the element between 0 index till the 3rd index. So same slicing operation, whatever things we have actually discussed. Similarly, if I go ahead and write numbers with double colon, right, I'll be able to see it. If I go ahead and write double colon and -1, I'll be able to get the reverse of all the tuple values, right? But the return type will be always tuple. Okay, so all the indexing and the slicing operation that we have actually done with the help of list. Similarly, you can actually do it with the help of tuples. Okay, then let's go ahead and see tuples operation. Tuple operations. Okay, now tuple supports various operations like concatenation, repetition, and slicing. Okay, so we'll be discussing about that. Let's say I have numbers 1 tuple. Okay, and I had also created another tuple which is called as mixed tuple, right? So this were the elements, right? Now what if I just go ahead and write something like this, numbers plus mixed tuple. Okay, so here in short, this is an arithmetic operation, but since we have 2 tuples over here, I will definitely say this as a concatenation, right? Concatenation basically means combining 2 things, right? So here you'll be able to see, I will just go ahead and write concatenation underscore tuple, and I will just go ahead and concatenate this. Now, if I go ahead and print this concatenation, right? Concatenation tuple, you'll be able to see that I will be getting something like this. Now all this tuple, both the elements of this particular tuples has been combined. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 1, hello world, 3.14 and true. Okay. Now let's say that I want to perform some more operations, right? Let's say I want to go ahead and write something like this. Okay. Repeated, or let me do one thing. Let me just go ahead and create this. So I will just go ahead and do, okay, or I'll take this mixed tuple. Okay, and I will just try to multiply with an operation 3. Now see what will happen. So here you can see mixed tuple had 1, hello world, 3.14 and true. Now this has got entirely repeated 3 times, right? So in this kind of multiplication operation, what is basically happening is that the entire tuple is basically getting appended 3 times, right? So that is the reason we are basically doing an operation over here. So so this is what is something different with respect to the calculation that we do. Now you may be thinking, Krish, what about if I try to do this with numbers, right? Numbers multiplied by 3. So here also the same thing will happen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You may be thinking, Krish, wasn't it like you have to probably multiply all these numbers? That also we can do it, but we have to iterate it inside this particular tuple, get each element and then perform the numerical operation. Okay, but right now with respect to generic concatenation and this kind of operation, here you can see that 3 times, n number of times based on this multiplication that we are doing, that many number of times this tuple will get appended with respect to the element. Okay. So these are some of the basic operations. Now let's go ahead and discuss about immutable nature of tuples. Okay, this is important, of tuples. Now in the immutable nature of tuples, you need to understand one thing, and that is the first point that we have already learned, right? Tuples are immutable. Okay, meaning the elements cannot be changed once assigned. Okay, let's say that I go ahead and create my list. And I go ahead and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, let me do one thing. List of 0. Or if I go ahead and print this specific list, I will be, okay, there is an error, don't worry. Okay, so here you can see I'll be getting this specific element. Now, let's see this, okay? Now, what I will do, I will go ahead and take the first index and replace with it Krish. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and print the list. Now see what will happen. So here we are changing the element, and this second index or this first index element has got replaced with Krish. So this basically means lists are mutable. That basically means the element can be changed once assigned. Now similar operation, if I try to do with the same numbers that we had, right, in the form of tuple, if I go ahead and say, hey, number of 1, what is the number of 1? 2. If I try to assign some value, let's say I try to assign a value called as Krish. Here it says that, hey, tuple object does not support item assignment. And this is what immutability comes into picture. Tuples are immutable. The elements cannot be changed once assigned. Okay. So here you can actually see what I exactly mean to say, right? And this is very much important. That basically means once you have defined a tuple, you cannot change the element inside that. Okay. Once it is assigned. There are ways how you can do it. First of all, you can take the tuple, convert into a list and then change the element, and then finally convert back again to the tuple if you want. Okay. That is how you can actually do. Okay. But by default, you'll be seeing that tuples are immutable. Perfect. So till here we have understood. Now let's go ahead and discuss about tuple methods. Okay. And now in this tuple methods, we will be seeing two important methods in tuple. So let's go ahead and see this. So let's say this is my tuple number. So one of the example that I would like to show you, or one of the method that is commonly used with tuple, and there are only two methods that we specifically use. Okay. Numbers dot count. Okay. Let's say I want to count how many number of times 1 is present. Okay. So let me just go ahead and see this, and it is only present one time. Let me just go ahead and make a code over here, and let me just display the numbers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So this count function is like, it will just try to count how many number of times the element that I have given over here is present in the specific tuple. The next thing is that I will go ahead and print numbers dot. Let me just go ahead and do one function which is called as index. Now let's say I want to understand what is the element present in the index third, right? And if I go ahead and execute here, you can see that in the third index 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Or sorry, what is the element, like where is this third element present? Like in which index this third element is present, right? Or this 3 is present. Again, let me repeat it. Numbers dot index. Index is a function over here, and with respect to index, what it does is that it returns the first index of the value. Okay, whatever value I'm actually giving you, it is just going to return the index of that value. So here you can see 0, 1, 2. So 3 is basically present in the second index. Okay, so I hope you've got this two methods easily and you have understood it. One is count and one is index, and these are the two common methods that are specifically used with tuples. Okay. Now let me talk about one amazing thing. Okay. And that is basically called as packing and unpacking tuple. Okay. Packing and unpacking tuple. Again, this will be really handy whenever you are developing projects, whenever you are writing the code, right? So let me just go ahead and write packed underscore tuple is equal to, and I will define the elements like this, 1, comma, and let's say this is my string. So this will be like hello. Then I have 3.14. Okay. And I will just go ahead and print my packed underscore tuple. Now, once I do this, here you'll be able to see that I'm able to get it. Now, whenever I define the numbers in this way, like comma separated, right? By default, what it is going to do is that whatever number of elements that I've given, it is going to pack them in a tuple itself, right? So that is the reason we say it as we are packing a tuple whenever we give this. Now, how do we unpack a tuple? So this is with respect to packing. Okay. Packing. But how do we unpack it? So unpacking a tuple, and how do we do it? So here we know that there are 3 elements inside this tuple. Let's say I have 4 elements or 5 elements. Let's say in this case, there are 3 elements. So I'm just going to create 3 variable. Let's say ABC is equal to, and here what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to use the same packed tuple. Okay. Now, what will happen if I go ahead and print A? Okay. And let me just go ahead and print B. And similarly, let me just go ahead and print C. So here you can see 1, hello, and 3.14, right? So you are able to see this, and this is nothing but it is called as unpacking a tuple, right? Now, there is also some very important things that you really need to understand. Okay. With respect to unpacking, we can also use star. Okay. So let's say unpacking with star. Okay. And this is something new that you will be able to see as new Python version will be coming. Some of the amazing features. So let's say I have a numbers, and in these numbers, I define a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And 6. Okay. Now let me do one thing. I will create one variable like this, and I'll use star. Let's say star will be middle and my third variable will be last. Okay. Now, why I'm creating this, you'll be able to understand. Now see, if I go ahead and display the number, I'm just going to assign this particular numbers over here. Now let me just go ahead and print first. Then I will go ahead and print middle. Okay. Sorry, I'll remove the star over here. I'll not require star. And then finally, I will print the last element. Okay. Now see what will happen. Over here, I know 6 elements are there, but I'm just using 3 variables just to unpack, and I'm unpacking with 1 star. I'm using in the middle variable 1 star. Okay. Now see what will be the output. Okay. So the first one has given me 1. This is fine. Now the middle star, what it is done, right? The star middle, it is taken all the remaining elements till the last element. See 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last number is basically giving you the 6th, right? So what the star does is that from wherever you are probably starting, right, till the last element, right, before that last element, all the elements will be picked up. Okay. So this was about unpacking. 3 variants I've actually shown you: packing, unpacking a tuple, and unpacking with a star. Okay. Let me just go ahead and create more cells so that you'll be able to we'll be able to execute more code. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see some example for nested tuples. Okay. Tuples inside a tuple is basically called as nested tuples. List inside a list is also called as nested list. So let's say if I go ahead and write like this, I can go ahead and create any number of list inside a list. Okay. Let's say I have elements like 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's say I have 1, 1, hello, hello, 3.14, C. Okay. Now this is what? This is list inside a list, right? So here is an example of nested list. Okay. Because see, I did not take in the previous session of list. The reason is only that whenever is the right opportunity, right, we should include this topic over there, right? And that is how you'll be able to understand all the other topics itself, right? Because whatever operations we specifically do in list, similarly only we also do it in tuple also with respect to accessing the elements. And the difference is immutability and mutability, right? Now, let me just go ahead and write list of 0. Now list of 0 basically means what? This is my 0th index. This is my first index. This is my second index. Okay. So if I'm writing list of 0, you will be able to see that I'm able to get 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's say that I want to pick up third element. Now to pick up third element, what I really need to do, I have to use another index. And this time, this will be nothing but 0, 1, 2. So this will basically belong to my second index, right? So here you can probably see that I'm able to get the third element, right? So this is some common example, right? Let's say I want to also use slicing operation. I want to get the elements between 1 till 4. Okay. So I can also go ahead and write like this 0, 3. Okay. If I go ahead and write it, so see, I'm able to get 1, 2, 3. So slicing operation can also be applied in nested list. Okay. List within a list. Okay. And it is not like only you need to have a list. You can also have tuples. You can also have multiple things, right? So let's say I am going to probably go ahead and define this as tuple. Okay. Tuple. Okay. Or let me just show you another example so that this code remains, and I'll paste it over here. Okay. And let me do one thing. And here you have this, and here you have this. Okay. Now, if I'm executing this, let's say I want to probably get from my second index 0, 1, 2. Okay, second index. And let's say I want all the elements between 0 to third index. So here I'll be able to get 1 hello world and 3.14. So inside a list also you can have tuples. Okay, it is up to you, however you want to create. But whenever we talk about nested tuples, let me just give you one basic example. Here we are just going to create tuples inside a tuple. So I have 1, 2, 3, ABC, true, false. Okay, so these are my tuples over here. Now we will try to access the elements. Access the elements inside a tuple. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and write print nested underscore tuple of 0. So if I go ahead and execute it, I'm able to get 1, 2, 3. Okay. If I want to just pick up C, let's consider that I want to just go ahead and pick up C. Then how do I write? I will go ahead and write print nested underscore tuple, and here I'm going to specifically write first index, right? First index will basically get me all the elements over here, and this will be my second index, right? So here, if I go ahead and execute it, I'm able to get C, right? I can also iterate through this nested tuples, right? By using a for loop. So iterating over nested tuples, okay? And here you'll be able to see for sub underscore tuple in nested underscore tuple. Okay. I'll first of all go through the nested tuple, and then I will take the item in the sub tuple, and let me just go ahead and print it. Let's print the item one by one, right? So print item, and here I'm just going to write end is equal to with a blank statement, so that whenever it is printing, it should print along with this blank a new line also. So now if I go ahead and execute, see, first tuple is basically getting printed 1, 2, 3 ABC, and then true and false. So that is what I have, right? So this was example with respect to tuples. We have seen different operations. We have seen about packing, unpacking. We have seen the inbuilt methods. We have seen why do we get an error, what is immutability, everything we have actually seen, and we have also seen some of the examples with respect to list, right? But overall, if you probably see, right, tuples are a kind of data structure. Again, it will be specifically used when you do some kind of data analysis and all. Some or the other way, whenever you are writing the code and all, you will be using this tuple extensively. Now let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and finally write the conclusion, so that you have this conclusion in mind, where all tuples are. Tuples are versatile and very useful in in many real world scenarios where an immutable and ordered collection of items is required. They're commonly used in data structure, function arguments, and return values as dictionary keys. Understanding how to leverage tuples effectively can improve the efficiency and readability of your Python codes. So I hope you like this particular video. This was it for my side. I will see you all in the next video, where we will be learning about the next data structure that is called as sets. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.